Hello everybody and welcome to the Learn Dota 2 League Season 15, Week 5. Last time, my upload speed died a few times and I pulled all my hair out, and so did Kid Dynamite after that 70-minute game. Let's see if anything changes this time. We still have the Doctor of Dota, Randy.
Yep.
And we still have the Ksed of Dota, Ksed.
Hello.
And we still have more or less the same bans as we saw the first time. Instant Lena, Instant Tusk.
I wonder if they're still going to ban the Dawn, because it seems like a hero that Alch Capone would benefit more than Outlaw.
Yeah, they run a similar strategy to the first game, yeah. The Alch Capone in the first game seemed to be generally in the better position when they were taking the longer fights, and Dawnbreaker is one of the best heroes you can have behind your back in that specific scenario. Does feel a little bit like perhaps the Outlaw Destroyers there made the decision to go for the Void based on the ban of the Dawnbreaker, just oh they got rid of one of the easiest counters perhaps? In any case, they're thinking hard about it. They've already lost a good chunk of their reserve time here on the second ban, and the ultimate decision is Treant, inexplicably. Do not want to see that boss Treant again. I do gotta question it a little bit. Unfortunately for boss, I just don't really think it had a ban-worthy amount of impact. Broodmother gets banned. Ricky coming out. Yep. Second go at Ricky here.
There was too much healing going on in that game. They had to ban it.
10 seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining.
You know, the Ricky last game certainly had some very visible impact there. The constant putting Ember Spirit to sleep, the constant snipes. And we do have a Dawn on the Outlaw Destroyers. Likely going to be looking at Vex here. Could be looking at a support Dawnbreaker, but I gotta say, I feel like I haven't seen support Dawnbreakers recently do anything but flop. So
5 seconds remaining.
Hopefully we're looking at a Vex Dawn here. Or a nice man Dawn. He's played to some good success. We got a Snapfire here.
Dire team ban.
Pretty solid. And here comes the Drow Ranger.
Okay, Kai Drow.
This is actually kind of a bad Drow game so far, I gotta say. I don't think I like her much against
any Drow game's a bad Drow game.
What?
I don't think any Drow game's a bad Drow game right now. It's the problem.
I think they picked Drow to counter the Dawn. It's like not amazing in lane, but in the game you just outrange the Dawn ulti, so you're likely to not like have second guess where your positioning is.
Yeah, the big downside here is that I feel like once Snapfire gets that gobble up, it's going to be kind of tough for Drow Ranger to operate.
Only if it's a core, though.
Hey, it doesn't necessarily need to be. Just spit your best friend at Drow Ranger. There you go.
10 seconds
Easy money.
remaining. Dire team ban.
No Legion Commander. They already got the Drow and the Ricky. They don't want to see the LC either. OD actually, so far, with a who's who of the heroes you see 100% of the time in pubs and their ban list.
10 seconds remaining.
I saw Ray Bebe recently run a team that looked like that ban list.
Yeah, true.
Radiant team ban.
I don't want to say how it ended, though. Sniper getting knocked out here. I like how on one side you have, like, Lena ban, the LC ban, like the super meta dudes, and then Alch Capone is like, I will ban Sniper. In fairness, they have a good reason. They have a good reason for it, it's just silly.
10 seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Radiant team pick.
There goes X. Another cast member of that who's who.
Drow is annoyed by people who can outrange her, so
I think the best carry at the moment against Drow is the Sven, because you can kill her in 3 hits if you get on top of her, and you also give armor. You give additional armor and not base armor to your entire team.
Let's see what they decide to go
Dire
with.
team pick.
They decide to go with the
That is-
Undying.
That is not really good against the Drow. But
Yeah, I don't know what impact I think this Undying is going to have. I really hate the Undying against Ricky. It is such a... It might actually be a little worse than the
10
Undying
seconds
into
remaining.
Snapfire matchup, just having to deal with the stupid smoke cloud
5
being
seconds
positioned
remaining.
over 5, because you're not going to get BKB as like a pos 5 Undying. At least you're not going to get it for a long time. Having to deal with that really just screws up your ability to operate.
Dire team pick.
simply buy 4 stuff. Oh, it's
There
the
you
most
go.
boring hero in the game.
I mean, even if you do buy 4 stuff, it is still very obnoxious to have to put yourself to a much more awkward position, a much more forward position as well. Typically. Like, either you
Radiant
go
team
forward
pick.
and you crash into the enemy team, or you go one of the other ways and get farther from being effective. You kind of have one range you want to stay at as Undying, more or less. And 4 staff, not the greatest way to try and run that. This is our offlane here,
10
Centaur
seconds
Vengeful.
remaining.
Like the combination of the Centaur Warrunner with the
seconds
Drow,
remaining.
as well as the Vengeful Spirit. They have a lot of ways to get Drow out of trouble if anything starts going wrong, which, you know, kind of fixes the issue that I mentioned earlier, where it's like the team does have ways to close. Well, not really anymore, you know, if you close, then Centaur just hits R, or Vengeful Spirit hits R, and suddenly now Drow is totally okay again, which is really annoying to deal with. Taking some time thinking about this next pick on
Dire
OD.
team ban.
I'm gonna pull up the Magnus.
Horn of Magnus.
It's a bit interesting.
Alrighty. Always fun.
Yep, that it's a hero that can be very annoying for the Drought Ranger, and a hero that combos very well with the Snap and the Undying.
10 seconds
The one thing
remaining.
I'm worried about is I just can't get this picture out of my head of Magnus blinks in the middle of 5, except there's a smoke cloud waiting for him there, and now he just dies instantly. That would be a very disastrous scenario.
I've heard that Iceman Magnus has been popping off though in 82L, so there's that.
Dire team ban.
We do have popping rumors, so you know there's I've heard actually, speaking of popping, that Iceman has recently signed up for Popping Gamer.
Radiant team ban.
Are you signed up for that, Ksed?
I don't know what Popping Gamer is. What is that?
What's what?
Popping
10
Gamer?
seconds remaining.
What about it?
No, you said, am I signed up for it? I don't know what it is.
What are you asking, just specifically here?
No, you just asked if I was signed up for anything.
Yeah. Then you asked a question. I'm just asking specifically. What did you ask in response to that?
I don't know what you're asking I'm signed up
Dire
for.
team pick.
Okay,
Popping
we-
Gamer.
Yeah, I still don't know what that is.
You don't know what you know, huh?
Masterful dodge. Right here.
I'm not walking away till I get this.
I don't know what's going on.
10 seconds.
There's something you're confused about. I'm just trying to figure out. Just ask specifically the question that's on your mind right now, and I'll answer it.
Oh, I see. What's Poppin' Gamer?
Nothing much. What's popping with you?
There you go.
I had to go all the way
I
around the
can't-
block
I
to
can't
get that
believe it.
one. Somehow I just don't feel good about it, though. Speaking of things I don't feel good about, I don't feel good about seeing that Timber Saw in Alch Capone.
4 strength heroes versus the Timbersaw. Holy cow.
Yeah, it's true. My god.
On one hand, you have 4 strength heroes versus a Timber Saw. On the other hand, it is going to be basically impossible, given the way these heroes position themselves, to ever get more than one with your Q in a fight. Which is always kind of the trick with the Timber Saw. Like, yes, he does steal your strength, but he has to get really close to you to do it. It's going to be kind of hard for him to hug more than one person in a fight. And it's going to be really hard for him to exist at all with an Ursa in the game.
Yeah, Timber Nurse is pretty dreadful, but what can you do?
This is actually a pretty... Outside of the Vengeful Spirit swap, which could really screw him up, this is a ridiculous Ursa game.
Yeah, it's pretty good. He has Empower.
Once he has his...
He has an Undying in his lane.
Once he has his BKB, it's
Oh no,
really
never mind. He has a
difficult.
snap.
Yep. Once he has BKB, it's really difficult to imagine what it's going to take to bring him down. I don't really know this team has the tools to do that. He has some good...
I think. Sorry, you can go first.
He has some good backup here with the Magnus, who not only has the Empower, he also has the Skewer. Undying is going to be somebody who's going to be... even if they have pretty good answers to the Undying, they still have to physically actually answer it, and the people who are doing that are not going to be looking at Ursa. The Snapfire never really got a proper answer to her in this lineup, and the Dawnbreaker there can basically restart a fight for Ursa if need be, with the ult. They have a very good lineup for this Ursa. And God help you, if Iceman gets a big RP, that's just everybody in it's dead. Just 100% everybody inside that RP is dead. This is like one of the biggest RP is kill games I've ever seen.
That is a pretty big ask, though.
Prepare
It is a big ask.
Big RPs.
But like, if you get one big RP, this team is just completely over, basically. And I don't know exactly how big the ask is. Like, it's not like their team fight is predicated on getting big RPs as well, which is the nice upside for Iceman here. It's going to relieve a bit of the pressure on his back, because it's like, even if Iceman just gets like 1 or 2 cores in the RP, it's still probably fine in a fight. They have enough to sustain themselves and enough to keep going. That is perfectly acceptable. Oh no! Ursa is getting right-clicked at by the enemy lineup. He's gonna get stunned here. It's gonna turn into a second one from the Centaur War Runner.
Awesome. Yeah.
Unfortunately,
rather
Centaur
power
is
here.
going to take about as much damage from the tower as he did to the Ursa. Centaur running with a bit of an old-fashioned build here, going with a lot of stats items in the tangos. Which, hey, I like better than the 2 rings at least. They're going to try and bully Roxy Roro. Mickle's going to miss a stun here.
The battle begins.
And despite everything, it is still just going to be 1 for 1 for the rooms, because all Boss had to do to take theirs was just walk to top. Nothing was waiting for him there.
We have a lane swap, by the way. They're gonna put the Drow against the Ursa. Hi, is AFK? Okay, hello.
Yeah, we're gonna put
Alright, no.
the Drow against absolutely no one. This is an awkward situation for Roxy. First blood for Ricky here. You definitely see why you would want to do this lane swap.
One less game as well, but yeah, it's a good lane swap.
This lane has basically all their tools for dealing with the Undying as well, which is really going to help them out.
Did Undying not pop his Fairy Fire there, or did he not have one?
Timbersaw's under the tower. And he's down. Iceman got himself an E.
Classic Magnus play right there.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's going to be a hard game to beat Timbersaw. Not only do you have the Ursa to play into, which is abominable for you, you also, even though Magnus is a strength hero, it is kind of hard to get around him here. You know, Timber, hypothetically, in another lane, Timber can deal with the positioning factors that Magnus is going to put on his head. But not at mid, where most of the trees here are in positions where they're going to get you in more trouble than not to try and cling to them. Like, once again, Timbersaw going under the tower here. Very unfortunate.
He's gonna make a really big mistake if he goes Soul Ring right now, because he's basically at 50% HP. He's not gonna get any value out of it.
To be honest, I don't like Soul Ring on basically anybody right now, and it's certainly not going to be good on Timber in this lane. You're just gonna really struggle, just ever having even really the scenario to get it to pop up, really, unless you're just gonna.
I think he also made a really big mistake getting that on level 3, spending a skill point in Timber Chain instead of the level 2 E.
Yeah, Timber Chain is not going to be useful to you, and I mean it's kind of hard to find good uses for it in mid unless you're stomping it out anyway. You're certainly not going to be getting anything out of Timber Chain in a mid lane where you're losing, because it doesn't really offer any defensive value here unless Magnus is really overextending himself for you. He is winning the last hit war with Magnus, so Magnus's kill on him plus the 5 denies that Magnus has on him is definitely going to equalize most everything he gets out of that. So far, this Drow Ranger versus Ursa matchup has mostly been both heroes just kind of farming and ignoring each other. Ursa at the top of the board for last hits, now tying with Timbersaw, but still pretty much at the top of the board with last hits. Drow not terribly far behind. Timbersaw going to modestly annoy. Uh-oh. Not again, bro. And he's
yeah, if he
down.
had a second point at E there, he would have lived.
Well, if he had a second point of either, he doesn't get the Timber Chain to get out of the tower range faster. So I don't think he does in either case, in fairness.
Wait, no, if you have max stacks, you actually just take, like,
He
10
didn't have
damage per
max
tower
stacks. Mickle getting hammered at top. Well-timed one. Pop is going to save his life there. So far, does seem to be having the largest amount of trouble of any of these lanes trying to do anything here. Which is a bit unfortunate. You know, one of the biggest advantages you get being a 3, getting traded into the safe lane, is that usually it's going to be easier than whatever you were dealing with in the off lane. And while that is true, Centaur Warrunner is a melee creep in a lane against Ursa. Unfortunately, really hasn't been able to take any real serious advantage of this outside of just not dying. And not doing as bad is not quite enough of an advantage for him here. He's running a little slower this time than our last slot. Timbersaw does get to... it's very ironic to say that Timbersaw is in the exact place he wants to be. Oh, goodbye, boss. Alright. Well, that's a good recompense for Centaur there. Get him back on the map a little bit. Centaur is going to try and man-fight the Dawnbreaker. Spoilers, it doesn't work. Timbersaw very low again. He's got three. He's
looking. Oh, good stun.
Still dead though.
Yeah.
Bahahoro in a bit of trouble here. Nobody's really, I don't think. Yeah, nobody wants to chase that out though.
Meth got skewered again.
Yep.
Oh,
And now he's dead. He's all in on his E, and it's still not saving him this lane. It really sucks to be him. One thing that definitely, I think, could have given him a pretty decent amount of help is at least going for raindrops here, if not just going all in on the cloak. Because Iceman's playing this lane really well. He's not just randomly right-clicking the Timbersaw. he only ever right-clicks the guy if there's a good reason for it. Like, you know, here he's got DD, so of course he's going to town on the guy. But usually he's only really doing any kind of attrition damage via his Q, which is very good news for him and very bad news for Timbersaw, as with the limited opportunities to get stacks of his E up, he's not really healing it very consistently outside of scenarios like this where there's just a minute or two of dead air for him.
Yeah, I think Timber needs to do a better job of drawing creep aggro and getting stacks. He's just not getting any for no reason.
I don't know, I feel like the problem is if you try to get too much creep aggro in this lane, you just take another tower shot under the Magnus Express. It's a very tough lane for Timbersaw to play in, and Iceman is playing it really well. I think this has... there are missteps, but I do think this has less to do with Meth playing badly and a bit more to do with Iceman just playing this really well.
I think it's more that. I think this lane is like actually probably like 80-20 Timber favorite if you play it correctly.
We try not to flame on these guys. I don't know if I don't think I agree with that. Certainly not now when Timbersaw's kind of crappy.
Who wants cookies? Well, too bad.
I feel like you have the choice of, do you want to tank creeps and get sent under the tower and die, or do you want to not tank creeps and do nothing? Basically.
I'm not gonna like spend too much time on this, but I think usually you have, if you have 26 stacks, which you should have at all times, you basically don't care about going under the tower.
Bounty which my matriarch will prize.
AD is hitting a lot of creeps in this lane. It's actually
Yeah, well, Drow,
pretty
Drow is...
distinctly overgrow at this point.
Well, Drow is not getting hammered in her lane, per se. She's doing fine for herself. The lane swap is starting to look a little unfortunate. You know, again, they are getting the occasional kill at top, but Centaur is still... Okay, they do get Vex here. That could go quite a ways to turning this fully around, but... Like, Centaur kind of came into a lane where he's just doing okay. Just a little more than okay now. And that's it. Drow's sent into this lane where he's doing okay. Just a little more okay, and that's it. And Ursa, who is going to be the center of the universe in this game. Ursa, who is going to be the long and short of this game, is kind of dominating in his lane, which ain't great. Ain't great. It's definitely looking like it's going to be a really tough game for Alch Capone.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Especially since, you know, they still have the problem of lane phase has to end sometime, and I just cannot see anything but doom in the future for these guys once it does.
Iceman went 4-4-1 skill build, by the way. Just want to point that out.
What
I
can
think
I
it's
say?
pretty good.
I mean, yeah, like I said, you know, the biggest issue for Timber is that in lanes where there's a load of magic damage coming out, it's a lot harder. Okay. That's awkward. It's a lot harder for you to deal with the attrition. He is going to go for a full Hood of Defiance now, which
KD might be in trouble.
help him out if come out a little earlier.
This will do just fine.
Kai is going to get a free tombstone for his troubles, but it's probably fair. Okay, Dynamite is going right in. This is really ill-advised.
He has enrage. I think he's okay.
Yeah, he's chilling. This lane's getting really hard for him though.
Radiant structures are fortified.
Very awkward encounter there. Really don't know why he tries to go in on that. Got nothing but trouble for his efforts. Meth is dead again. Tower dive by the Magnus. Did not even need the RP. Certainly feel like it wouldn't be ill-advised for Magnus to maybe take a look at that bot lane.
He's gonna take the mid tower here.
Middle tower is under attack.
Iceman Mag really popping off. It's that subscription.
Yeah.
Dire's middle tower has fallen.
That's a dream. 11-minute Echo Saber.
Yep.
Oh my god.
If you look at the net worth chart, he's sitting on $6,000 right now, which for those of you who are big on your currency exchange rates, one Magnus is, well, I guess one Timbersaw is worth 2/3 of a Magnus, and Ricky's dead. Goodbye, Ricky. We have a opportunistic look here from the Snapfire at the spot lane, just knocks Ricky out of life. Timbersaw is going to try and get his heat back on these ancient camps.
Okay, another case. Look at Mickle's item build. This guy hates small items. Oh my god.
Oh, Roxy Roro hates living.
Dire's middle tower
Gets caught there by the Timbersaw coming out of the ancient camp, which is going to also fund the end of his Hood of Defiance and then get him started on something else, which is good. It's not going to be a good game for Timber no matter what, but he definitely can't keel over and die. Boss is getting dough behind T1 and nobody cares.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Very sad.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
I do think there's a bit of an undue lack of attention perhaps given to this bot lane. Things went really well for Ursa in it, but Drow Ranger has already surpassed his net worth, and if you just let her just sit there free farming, getting all the rotations she wants and everything, this whole time it's going to get real ugly real fast.
Or TPing.
Yep,
Ice
Magnus
Man?
coming out. But
Okay.
Centaur ult.
Centaur. Yeah.
Like I said, you know, Centaur really doesn't have much to ult for. In fact, he doesn't really even have much to do this game, frankly, outside of just hit R to get Drow out of bad situations.
Funny thing was, the ult, I don't even think he was for Drow. He was going on Vex in the top lane.
Oh, how nice.
It
What a-
just
what a
happened
miracle.
to work out.
Is under attack.
You know, it's a little
First
thing.
serendipitous, yeah.
I forgot to do the roll call again. There will be no roll call this series. Nobody will ever know who these people are. Yep, just gonna TP
TP's
out.
away. Right in front of KD.
Magnus
They
getting
need
very
to
close
make
to
some
blank.
stacks for the Ursa with Empower.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Iceman is walking into trouble. I don't know how well he knows that.
Radiant's bottom
Ricky
tower
is just gonna get
under
away from
attack.
him here. They're gonna bring in everybody. Smoke down to bot, but I think it's a little too little, little too late. Unless these guys sticking around looking for Magnus, maybe, but it's a little unlikely. Yeah, they're just gonna pop in on Pahohoro. Pahohoro tank skank. And that's all she wrote. Okay, Ricky is in an awkward spot though, but they don't have any smoke for, or they don't have any dust for him though. And worse yet, he
Radiant are
disconnected.
scanning.
Radiant's scanning out the trees. There's no Ricky here.
They know Kai TP top, and we see immediate rotation by boss with ults. I wonder if they're gonna go on him.
Well,
Okay,
Boss is single-handedly going to try and make a go at this. And once again, Centaur ult, and she's out of there.
Radiant's middle tower is
Nice.
under attack.
Feels like, unless they get an RP on Drow, they're just not going to kill her. Just always going to get Centaured out. 'Cause they're
Speaking of
still
RP, Iceman has his Blink Dagger.
Yep.
On the courier.
fresh out. So the potential to do that is definitely in existence now.
Ricky's gonna spot it out, I believe, so they might be playing a little more carefully if they look at Iceman's items. Oh, Iceman
Spinning
is
in a
holding
circle.
the courier there. What a
Dire's
What a next
bottom
level play
tower
this
under
is.
attack.
doesn't want to blink really yet. Okay,
Oh, that's so awkward.
will now.
Ah!
Almost.
They just need the dust. They just can't get away with sentries only with this Ricky play here. They just need to put a slot for dust. It's just simple as.
Dire's structures are fortified.
Got a clip for this T1, just make this as long and tedious as possible. Ricky gets half his health sheared off by random casual Magnus shots. He is in a little bit of trouble here. They're gonna have a well-timed ult out of Roxy and unfortunately poorly timed dust. Sentry should make that okay.
Dire's
Support's hiding under the tower here. Well, where the tower used to be anyway.
Couple responses to this, Mickle and Kai.
What did you
Actually.
expect?
Ricky lives once again. And TPs. He did
Or
in fact
disconnects,
disconnect. So even with the dust, they still can't get him. Roxy and Kai gonna just kind of walk by each other here. 2 ships pass in the night, as a
Dire's
wise man
middle
once said.
tower is under attack. Radiant's
Ursa's
bottom
starting to
tower
kind of
is
fall
under
off
attack.
in this net worth chart at this point. As good as his lane phase was, the lack of any real stacks or any real objective progress on his team
Radiant's bottom
is
tower is under
really
attack.
hamstringing his income. We do have a big ult from Boss here. It's going to do basically all of Kai's health, but unfortunately, nobody on his team is ready to do anything about that. Where was the Dawnbreaker ult? The world wonders. Just sitting there like 10 HP, right? Just kill her.
Radiant's middle tower
Not
is
seen
under
Vex
attack.
hit that button yet. I'm really kind of wondering what he's saving it for. Double stun there by Pohora is going to keep her alive for a second longer.
She really rushed that. Like, I'm surprised she got the shard so early, but then I looked at her
Dire's
items.
top tower is under attack.
Really values the shard.
He's never
Yep.
tried.
Okay, guys, that was pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Centaur ults to try and go on the Vex bottom. Go on the Dawnbreaker, but without a Blink Dagger, he has no hope in hell of getting that. It's just going to be an awkward game in general. Both teams are just finding it really hard to actually get a clean initiation on the other. Kid Dynamite is at least taking this opportunity to climb back up the net worth chart. The team giving him all that pressure and keeping Drow
Dire's middle
under their
tower
thumbs a
is
bit
under
for a little
attack.
while has given him plenty of room to just bridge that gap and made sure Drow ain't right-clicking things.
I think the Radiant, they're playing the map, like, distributing the heroes kind of poorly. Vex should probably be playing the bot side, so he can, like, suck up that farm while the Ursa farms this entire top side.
Goodbye, boss.
Hard case.
Chill out.
I think Vex are just maybe scared of the Drow. I found Mickle here.
Blinking 2.
Might be in trouble. Nope, he's fine. The lack of day-to-day catch on this team is really not doing anything good for them.
It's basically only Magnus. They have, like, their only combo is Magnus RP into Dawn ult.
Yep. And if Dawn is waiting until Dota 3 happens, he's at ult, or is about to walk into 5 and just die a miserable death, then they don't even have that. Okay, Roxy does try to save this just using his gravestone here. I actually don't
Max cutting the
realize.
back line.
Yeah. I actually don't really realize until now that the Dawn and Undying are kind of alone up here. Oh no! Everyone gets stunned right in front of the tombstone. Timber Thaw doesn't go anywhere with his Timber Chain except to hell.
He's never tried.
Very awkward fight on the part of Alch Capone there. Just felt like they couldn't decide whether to go in or out until it was too late and they're all dead. And now Kid Dynamite is going to take a very free Roche here. Ricky's gonna look at it.
Literally no pressure on her though. It's kind of worrisome.
They don't have
I don't think
sentries.
it's-
Oh no, they just put it down.
Is under attack.
I'm... Hello,
Okay,
Ricky.
well, unfortunate. I don't think this is a hero outperforms Drow, and Drow's having a really easy start.
The Ricky did reset the Ursa Fury steps on Roche though, so it might buy his team enough time.
Nice
Kill
game.
Centaur? Yep. Just gets completely eviscerated. Everybody who shows up to this Roche, in fact, just kind of dies.
They don't have hero, like, they're not going in together, they're just conga lining.
And speaking of members of the conga line, here's yet another, as Meth is just going to blow his entire mana bar holding ult on Roche.
He's going for the kill. Oh no, he's put back.
Really doing
You know,
nothing but helping Ursa get it. First Aegis of the game at about 21 minutes flat, which probably isn't the most
Dire's
ideal
middle tower
situation in
is
the
under
world.
attack.
Definitely the best thing they could do with this Aegis, either get some structures or kill the Drow Ranger. I feel like that's almost the only two useful things this team can possibly do, basically. Because, like, to be blunt, and again, not trying to doo-doo on meth here, but this is not going to be a game. If this is no indication to you, this is not going to be a game where Timbersaw is going to do anything for you. Getting a kill on him is, like... getting a kill on him is like getting a kill on a pause 3 Timbersaw in a bad pause 3 Timbersaw game, basically. That's the effect that he's having.
Radiant's middle tower
So,
is under attack.
they're going to parlay this into a push on the top T2. They're even going to offensive glyph in apprehension of the defensive glyph that comes out soon afterwards. This Ricky fellow is quite tricky for the Dawnbreaker, not the Dawnbreaker, quite tricky for the Snapfire to deal with. It feels like they are having
Radiant's middle
a
tower
lot of
is
trouble.
under attack. Radiant's
By the way,
middle tower
he
is
disconnected.
We're good.
So ultimately, the trade is mid T1 for top T2.
Dire's top tower has fallen.
Mickle's going to
Radiant's
push
middle
out
tower
the
is under
mid
attack.
down to T2, but can't quite get it. Radiant going to secure outposts and then probably be on their merry way. Yep. Outpost is going to go down here. Dynamite is kind of alone right now. His team is outside of Roxy individually, who has no stuns. Is not really in position to do anything for him. Definitely don't think this is the time for a farming Aegis. That much I can say pretty confidently. Dawnbreaker is coming out here. They're gonna get Ricky. They don't know it, I don't think. Oh, that's
RP.
give me an RP. Though that is some very awkward coordination trying to get anything done with it. Oh man, it's gonna be fine though. Mickle down. BS had to buy back. Timbersaw is not gonna be long for this world at this rate.
What a jump from Iceman.
Oh my god. Iceman godlike.
Like, he sees one hero in the front line, he's like, no, I'm gonna jump back line and skewer everyone.
Structures are
Yep.
fortified.
The only way they should think about fighting right now is if Kai shows up. So it needs to be like more of a team decision.
Radiant's
Yeah.
bottom tower
And
is
even
under
then, it's
attack.
still a very,
Dire's middle tower is under
still a decision that they definitely have to be very cautious about. I do think this team has a very good
Another
ability to
skewer.
just, yep, goodbye. Very good ability to just completely decimate the poor guy. That Magnus is starting to get pretty crazy. He's calling something in on Courier, I think. That or he just has decided to... No, he just decided to shift-click nothing. Magnus will no longer be buying any items this game in order to help the enemy team win. There you go. Very charitable act by the Iceman. That's what separates the Iceman from the ice. Ursa just got BKB. Snapfire just got cliffed.
Bottom, look bottom.
Bust easy.
Alright.
Iceman's in the trees though. Because Kai's not careful. No, he
Bro.
missed.
He didn't get the skewer, said.
And we have Centaur ult here. Looking at the Undying, just going to
Count
eliminate him.
Roxy, yeah.
Oof.
The one saving grace for Dire right now is that Kai is still at 0 deaths, and
Yep.
he's pretty close to the top of the net worth chart.
Yeah, they're finding it very impossible to even get him. Very rarely is he appearing on the map unless there's 5 people on the other side. And it just... The team has enough ability to keep the Radiant back that they can't just like force him to come out. It's very difficult to do so. Oof. Mickle again with the Spidey senses there. The frame he sees Ursa, he knows pain is coming. They really can't do anything for Initiate at this juncture except just let Iceman go first. I feel like this team is in desperate need of a Rod of Atos. Just too many times people are just getting out of horrible situations they have no business on the Dire. And speaking of business, the business of Aegises is now over. Bahohoro is going to unintentionally tank a smoke gank.
Oh, very nice.
Radiant are scanning.
Oh,
Iceman's not falling for that again. I like how the stun came after the charge. Ice Fantasy Beyond got like 10-0-4. Ursa just got Blink Dagger, so that's going to be a little good for them. Going for Basher next, that could really actually help the situation quite a lot if they were able to get it in pretty good time. Timbersaw got himself a Mechanism. If Centaur, Warrunner, and Timbersaw both get Mechanism, this game's going to be the funniest game ever. Centaur went for the Crimson Guard this game, inexplicably. I don't think I like it much here. Doesn't do anything against the Ursa, doesn't do much against the Dawnbreaker, doesn't do anything against the Magnus, and pretty much all it helps you against is Undying Zombies. And even then you better hope that you're not armor broken from the Snapfire, or else it pretty much means nothing. 70 damage being shaved off of your right clicks means very little when you're taking like 4,000. Rainbow TP's at bot the second it starts coming out. Drow immediately gets out of town. No dust on the Dawnbreaker. Come on, guys. Invisibility is invincibility. Seems to be the order of the day. It's making it harder and harder to feasibly get that kill that they really, really want to get on the Drow Ranger.
I think it's gonna be really difficult in 15 minutes. Like, I don't know what this Radiant team does unless Ursa is strong enough that you can just man fight Drow every fight.
So, I mean, in fairness, it's not like there's going to be anything stopping him. It's going to be a pretty much a 1v5 for Drow. Outside of the VS buff and swap, more or less. Roar!
I think the Radiant's doing a really poor job of pushing their waves out. Like, they're way stronger, but all their waves sidelines are constantly shoving to them. It makes it really awkward for them to take any objectives or to try to choke their opponent out.
Yeah, the choking out is definitely what they want to be doing here. Drow Ranger is just constantly being allowed to play here at bot. And yep, there she goes again. Everybody comes to the Drow Ranger at bot lane, and nothing is here. She's already TP'd, and they don't know that.
Kai baits the TPs and then takes the space that he's just created for himself on the other side of the map.
And they really have no way to do anything about this at this point, it feels like. Outside a drift push. But their push is so bad against this enemy lineup, we could just delay any structure's death for it feels like 20 minutes, basically. Even though Radiant have a lot of theoretical upsides here, it is looking a little tough for them to make any use of it. And there's our disconnecting notice, which means that means we'll see you in part 2, which will be right now.